Z Show.
Okay, I told people on Facebook that I would talk briefly about why I left I'm41.com. That's a blog, that's a website, and gets pretty good traffic there. But there have been some indications that the owner of I'm41.com, who's been a friend of mine online for, well, much longer than I've been doing this radio show, but I've kind of suspected that he was somewhat sympathetic toward conspiracy theorists and that they really weren't that bad. People who pass around these unsubstantiated conspiracy theories were not harming the conservative movement. My position is they're absolutely damaging our credibility. So a couple of days ago, a writer at I'm41.com posted an article with this headline, and I've got the link in the show notes. You can read it. It's, "I do not endorse this article at all." Anyway, a writer at I'm41.com posted an article entitled, "California SWAT Team Seizing Guns from Legal Gun Owners with Mental Issues." Well, first off, if you have certain kinds of mental issues, then you're not a legal gun owner anymore. Now, I could go into a bunch of reasons why this article is a load of crap. But the bottom line is, the most obvious, glaring error is that the state of California is not confiscating any weapons from any legal gun owner. Not one. Now, I live here in California, and I know what is happening and what is not happening in California. Way back, what was the date of this show? Way back on February 5th, I talked about this article in the Los Angeles Times that said that the state of California was unable to disarm 19,700 felons and mentally ill people. The reason why they weren't doing it is they said they didn't have the money, but the point was that the state of California was not enforcing the law. We have a law here, and to my understanding, we're the only state who has this law that says if you break the law, if you are a legal gun owner and you have a permit for your gun and you go out and you commit a felony, or you have a restraining order against you from your wife or your husband or a girlfriend or boyfriend, whoever, if you have a restraining order because you've shown signs of violence, we can come get your guns. If you have a felony, we can come get your guns. And if your psychiatrist or your psychologist believes that you might be a danger to yourself or others, we can come get your guns. Those are the people who are having their guns confiscated. And that's a good thing. I said back on February 5th, it's a good thing. And you've got all these people who are writing articles about how the state of California is confiscating weapons from registered legal gun owners. It's not. That is not happening. And so, of course, I looked at the sources that this writer at I'm41.com was getting the information from. Guess who? NowTheEndBegins.com. One of the worst hoax and hysteria websites out there. So first off, I really shouldn't have anything to do with any website that is busy spreading manure, because I fight against that constantly. I fight against it on my show, and I fight against it on Facebook constantly. I cannot stand the spreading of manure. And this idea that the state of California is confiscating weapons from people who legally possess them is entirely wrong. That is false. And so I wrote a comment. I sat down and I carefully wrote a 4 or 5 paragraph comment about how this article was wrong, the sources are wrong. At the bottom of the article, there is a source from Bloomberg.com, which is a very good article. It talks about exactly what's happening in California. The title is California Seizes Guns as Owners Lose the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. That is correct. You can lose the right to bear arms if you're a felon. I agree with that. Or if you have a restraining order against you because you're dangerous, a judge has deemed you dangerous to your wife or girlfriend, you should not have a gun. This is freaking common sense. And so when I saw this article at I'm41.com, I wrote the comment. I took the time to put links in there, and the guy who runs I'm41.com told me not to insult the author, and he deleted my comment. And that was it. I wrote him back. I said, F you, take all of my crap off of your stupid website. And I was really pissed off, and I'm still kind of ticked off, because what he did, I am not going to be censored by anyone, much less a supposed conservative. That's bull crap. That's nonsense. Now, if you want to have a website and you want to post all this crap that is incorrect, you want to spread manure, you want to spread falsehoods, and you're not going to allow any kind of correction or somebody who comes along and says, well, just a minute, that's not right, and gives you the honest-to-God facts from California where I live, to hell with you. That's it. I'm having nothing to do ever again with I'm41.com. Not because I'm so freaking great, but because that policy is so freaking stupid. He is endorsing falsehood. Now, if you write the article and you don't know better, and you don't know that NowTheEndBegins.com is a bad website and all they do is promote hoaxes and hysteria and fear-mongering, then that is a simple mistake. But when you delete the correction and the actual truth that shows that the article, whether it came from NowTheEndBegins.com or any website that got it wrong, what you're doing now is spreading lies. The article is still there. My comment is still gone. And I'm done with I'm41.com. That's why. It doesn't even have specifically anything to do with having my comment removed as much as the reason my comment was removed. I live in California. I know for a fact that SWAT teams are not taking guns away from those people who are legally in possession of guns. And in fact, I endorse the law enforcement that's going on here. I praise them for taking guns away from people who are now dangerous. If you get a permit and you buy a gun and you're a law-abiding citizen, that's great. They're not taking your guns away. But if you commit a felony, or you have a restraining order against you, or a mental health physician has found that you are potentially dangerous to yourself or others, you should not have a gun anymore. And I endorse the state of California coming to your house, knocking on the door, and taking your guns away. Abso-freaking-lutely. And you know, this isn't really about I'm41.com specifically. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Because many websites do this crap. It's a tactic used to get more traffic. More people click on these inflammatory articles because it gets the adrenaline going. People have a craving for adrenaline. And that's the way they get it. They click on these articles that say, oh, the SWAT teams are taking away the guns from all Californians. And it's a load of crap. And I'm sick and tired of people who do this, and I won't be a part of it. And I will expose as many websites as I can who do this crap. They won't even take my emails anymore at Now the End Begins and Before It's News, which I call Before It Spews. I think I've called Now the End Begins, Now the Spew Begins. They spew utter crap because people read it, they click on it, and it means traffic. And they get a lot of comments, and it means a lot to them. It means more than the truth. And for I'm41.com, it's now more important to have growing numbers than it is to have integrity and credibility and to be posting the truth. And this damages conservatism. I cannot tell you how many people all over the internet are complaining about conservatives spreading garbage. And now we've got another website you can add to the list. I'm41.com is spreading garbage, manure. I'm41.com has jumped the shark.
The Jimmy Z Show.